Hi, and welcome to That Board Game Show. I'm Sonja, and I am here today in the studio with James.
Hello.
That's my son. And we are going to share with you today about our recent game day. And that so happened to be at our cabin. We've got a lovely cabin. And in that cabin is especially set up places for us to play games. It's too wonderful. So we had some friends come. And when I say some, that means 3 friends. And the games that these friends wanted to play, we had played before. They knew we had them, beautiful games. And they only played up to 4 player count. So that meant there were 5 of us, and I decided that I would clean the cabin while they played, the 4 of them. Because I don't know about you, but I just get a lot of pleasure from just being present and witnessing people playing games. Because we're so passionate about this hobby that we love to share it. But before I go into more of that, I just want to ask you, Jamie, about photosynthesis, because that's one of the games. I didn't tell you that one of the games that they played, a stunningly beautiful game. It's called Photosynthesis. Okay, so Jamie, please tell us, or tell them, should I say, about photosynthesis. Some people might not know about it.
Well, if you look at pictures of this game, you'd never think that it is pretty much an abstract strategy game, because it's probably one of the most stunning abstract strategy games there is.
So what you're saying is, looking at it, it doesn't look like it's a strategy game.
An abstract strategy game. So abstract strategy games typically are black and white and maybe some colors thrown in.
Okay, but this game...
think checkers or...
Chess
or something like that.
Okay.
So this game is stunning. It's got beautiful sort of 3D, cardboard, standy 3D trees.
From the 4 different seasons.
So it's the 4 different players.
Gorgeous.
Each play a different color tree, which is the different season.
Mm. What season did you play?
I played winter.
That was a good pick. I remember now.
Tree, sort of blue,
yeah,
icy.
I remember now because it was so hot that day.
Mm.
And I thought you picked winter. Maybe that'll make you feel a bit cooler.
Well,
but
I actually picked winter because
hot.
it was the only color left after everyone chose theirs.
Oh, I see. Okay. But, they're so beautiful. So it was a sweltering hot day because we are here in South Africa and it's summer for us. And oh my goodness, we have about 2 months of the year that is really hot. What I call really hot is like in the 30s and up.
30 plus, yeah.
30 plus. That was a 30 plus day. And these guys were sitting around the table
Probably
playing.
one of the hottest days of summer.
Yes.
Of course.
And we did it in the cabin, which isn't the greatest ventilated place at the moment. That's a plan we have to fix that. But anyway, you were saying about photosynthesis. It's like an abstract strategy game.
So in the game, you're basically planting your trees. You each start with a certain number of these little seedling tokens, seed tokens, and then you're going to plant those seed tokens on this grid. I think it's a hex grid map.
It's beautiful. It looks lovely.
You've got these 4 rings, I think. No, 3 rings. It's a ring on the outside, 1 in the middle, another 3rd ring, and then 1 space in the center.
Okay.
And each of these rings is going to give you increasingly more points as you progress through the game.
And how you progress as your tree grows, hey?
Yeah.
So it starts
you plant
with these
a little
cute
seed,
little...
and then you spend light points. So there's the sun token that moves around the board.
It's like a big piece of cardboard that goes around the edges.
And so you move that sun token around to the different corners of the board at the beginning of each round, and that generates light points for each player.
Oh, right. And it like symbolizes the sun shining on the forest, as it were. So some trees are going to be in full sun, and the ones behind them will be in shade.
So if you've got a level 2 tree that's 2 spaces high, it casts a shadow of 2 spaces.
Oh, that's why they're the rings.
So if there's a small tree behind the medium-sized tree, then that medium-sized tree puts shadow on that small tree, and you don't get light points from that small tree.
So when you start the game, I know because I was watching them. I mean, I'm sounding like I don't actually know how to play this game, but in actual fact, that is the problem, you see. I play a game, and then when I come to play it again, it's like a brand new game. So I get a lot of pleasure out of repeatedly playing the games. And Jamie remembers all the details, as you
most
can hear.
of the details.
Most of the details.
I do tend to have to
look them up.
Refresh the rule book each time we play because we've got so many games we enjoy that you can't possibly play all of them every year.
And you also can't hold all those rules in your head. Anyway, what I saw on the table was each person had their like a board with all their trees on it, and you've got these seeds, and then you've got these little saplings, and then they grow up a bit and grow up a bit more and grow up a bit. Oh, it's so stunning. So your blue trees that were representing winter, I saw, there were these, I don't know how many you have of each, but that's details we don't have to have. But I'm
feel
just
free
saying,
to look up Board Game Geek pictures if you need all the precise information.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, was there anything more you wanted to tell about the actual game?
Well, just to
how it plays.
Wrap up so you will start with your seed, and then your seed can grow by spending your light points that you get from the sun. Mm-hmm. You spend those light points to grow your seed into a level 1 tree, a small tree, which generates 1 light point. You can grow that into a medium tree, which generates 2, which you can then grow into a large tree, which generates 3 light points.
It's
and
quite
then
thematic,
how you score
actually.
the game is once you've got your large tree, you can spend, I think it's 4 light points to end its life cycle. And that tree will be removed from the board and will generate points based on the ring in which it was. So if you've got your tree in the center space, which is just a single space, you're going to get the most points.
And so that's kind of your goal.
There's this little stack of point tokens, and they go in decreasing numbers. So like the top one in the middle is, I think, 22 points.
Oh, so you
and
get
then the
there
next one
first.
down is 20 points, and the next one down is 18. And so once the game is finished, I think you play over 3 or 4 rounds, and then whoever has the most points wins.
Well, what my experience of just watching this game and watching the people playing it is that it's quite a slow game. It's not a fast-paced game.
Oh, yeah. It's very
Slow-paced.
cerebral.
Very cerebral. That's
Everyone's
a good way to explain it.
plotting and strategizing and thinking about
And they're
how
very
to maximize their
engrossed.
light points.
They're very engrossed in their little forest. And I remember the one person that was playing, it was time to chop a tree down. You can do that too. And she's going, but I don't want to chop my tree down. But I can't chop the tree down. It's taken her all this time to get the tree to that size, and now she's got to chop it down because of that was the right strategy
Well,
to
that's
work.
how you actually score points in the game.
Okay.
If you never take down your big tree, then you're going to lose.
Okay. So, anyway, it was, for me, you see, I come back to that pleasure part, and that is whether I'm playing the game or not, I just get a lot of pleasure from just experiencing everybody's different reactions. Like one person's going, but I can't chop my tree down. And the other person's going, well, just think, you're chopping your tree down so more trees can grow. And they're all like trying to help each other. Everybody at the table is trying to help this one person come to accept or come to realize that chopping the tree down is maybe a good thing, even though, whoops, there's some out there that might not be agreeing with what I'm saying right now. But in the end, we actually live in forestry area.
The whole theme of this is the natural life cycle of trees. It's not
it's not
forestry. So basically your tree grows to a certain point and then it ends its life cycle and then makes space for new growth.
We've actually witnessed that where we live. We've got quite a few different variety of trees, and we've got blackwoods specifically come to mind now, because blackwoods just decide to fall over all of a sudden. And you know what happened? We had this one blackwood. It fell over in a big wind. Okay, the wind probably encouraged it to fall over, but it was at its life cycle, like you're saying. Some trees live for hundreds of years, and others not so much. Anyway, blackwoods are notoriously known to fall over.
Fairly short life cycles.
Yeah. And we just left the blackwood lying where it fell, and next thing we had a little blackwood forest, like this glade of all these little saplings, which still stands there today, this lovely forest growing up. So there you go, one fell down, and we've got many. I mean, I can say as many as hundreds from that one tree that fell down. So then after photosynthesis, as we said, was a long, slow game in the heat. And then they went on to play Lost Ruins of Arnak, another very beautiful game. I'm sure if people are listening to this podcast, they probably know about Lost Ruins of Arnak. I'm guessing.
Guess.
Safe guess, yeah. But even so, tell people what Lost Ruins of Arnak. Try to say that fast. Tell them about that game, will you?
Basically, it is a marriage of 2 types of board games. So they've taken elements of deck builders and they've taken elements of worker placement, and they've sort of mashed them together. So on your turn, you're going to, and if you don't know what either of those terms mean, deck building is basically where you start the game with a very basic deck of, say, 10 cards. And everybody starts with the same exact deck of cards. And then throughout the game, you're going to be buying new cards, more powerful cards into your hand, which you can then use to play later on. So you're building out your deck.
So people who like deck building games are
Yeah,
probably
Probably the most popular deck builder is Dominion. So if you're familiar with Dominion, it's that idea.
Okay.
So in Dominion, all you're doing is the deck building. The entire game is building your deck and building and buying cards that give you points and all of that. Whereas in this one, the deck building is only, say, half the game. And then the other half is a worker placement game. So if you're familiar with games like Viticulture or Agricola, or Agricola's sequel, Caverna, or Lords of Waterdeep, those are all pure worker placement games where each player has a set of workers, and then you send those workers out to specified spaces on the board, and then those spaces allow you to do different actions. So what they've done with Lost Ruins of Arnak is they've taken these two mechanisms and married them together.
Do you know any other games that push two together like that?
Well, there's lots of games that marry up
two different mechanisms.
Yeah, but the other most popular one that's done exactly the same thing of deck building and worker placement is Dune Imperium, which is one we still have
we
yet
don't
to
have
play.
that yet,
we don't have that one.
We hope to have it one day. Yeah, maybe.
And so what they've done is in Lost Ruins of Arnak, you've got a couple worker placement spots that starts at the bottom of the board. I think it's 4 or 5 that you can send. You've only got 2 workers each. And you can send your worker to that space and get resources.
Decisions.
And the decisions increase as the game plays because you unlock more and more and more worker placement spaces as you explore this lost land of Arnak.
And it looks beautiful. I've seen the art, when it's on the table and
really
playing
stunning.
it. Oh, it's so stunning. The artwork and the theme.
And the theme is even more rich in the solo game. So this one plays solo. And what they've done with the solo game is they've written up a campaign.
Ooh, nice.
And I've done a video for the first chapter, or part of the first chapter. I can't remember if I played
Jamie,
the whole
if you've
thing.
done a video, we better tell them, because this is that board game show and there's a YouTube channel. And if there's Lots of Ruins of Arnak video,
and that gives
that'll
all
be the full explanation.
detail and overview of how it
Because
plays.
just in case you don't know, Jamie does videos and his explanations are impressive. And I know that I'm his mother and maybe I'm biased, but other people say that as well. So there you go. You do very, very good explanation videos, So, oops, what just happened? We're sitting in our little cave here. We call it our cave. And we've got this light that comes on and off. So every now and then we get plunged into darkness. Just makes for a more interesting podcast. So that board game show YouTube channel does have these games that people can do, but I don't think you've done Photosynthesis.
No, I haven't done a video for Photosynthesis, but I have done one for Lost Ruins of Arnak. And that's showing the solo play specifically.
The other thing I wanted to tell you about this, I was sharing about how I was enjoying the day of these friends playing these games. And what I asked them after the game, I said, so did you guys enjoy that? Oh, yes. It was so wonderful. No hesitation whatsoever. And I asked them which one they enjoyed more. Was it Arnak or was it Photosynthesis? And I know, Jamie, you don't like doing reviews and measure and all the rest of it. That's not what his focus is. His focus is he likes to just explain the game and leave it to the people to decide what they want. But I did notice that they found that they enjoyed Lost Ruins of Arnak. That was the winner for them. Although they didn't want me to think that they didn't enjoy Photosynthesis because they said they loved playing that.
Well, they're two very
so different.
Games.
And that's what I was going to...
worlds apart.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go on to say, is that you've got Photosynthesis and I'm watching very little activity really between the people until something happened, like cut the tree down. But otherwise, as you said, everybody is just focused on their board and their trees. But it wasn't like that with Lost Ruins of Arnak. There was a lot more engagement. That was my experience of just witnessing the games being played. And
it's still very much, I'd say Lost Ruins of Arnak is kind of multiplayer solitaire.
Oh, so it's a bit like that as well.
Where each player's kind of building out their own thing and going on their own little expedition. But there are objectives you can reach before other players, and there's
this
spaces you can get to and bonuses you can get. So you can there is a certain amount of interaction there, but there's very little. I would say in Lost Ruins of Arnak, there's zero negative player interaction.
Nice.
Whereas in Photosynthesis, which has been nicknamed by several other reviewers as mean trees.
Oh, no.
There can be quite a lot of very negative interaction, because basically if you plant your tree
where it's going to block somebody
in
else.
a spot where it's going to completely block an entire row of trees, you've stopped those people being able to progress.
Oh.
So it can lend itself towards being quite cutthroat.
Oh, no. Okay, but I think, what I've just realized as you're talking is the Lost Ruins of Arnak, my experience of watching people play is they had a lot of questions. And I just realized now that it was their first play.
Yeah.
So they're learning. And so learning does provoke a lot of interaction.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe the next time they play, like you and I have played it a few times. So as you say, we are more sort of familiar with the game now. So we do kind of get lost in our own mission. And we enjoy those kinds of games. So some people don't. Some people really, really don't like those sort of solo, what do you call it?
Multiplayer solitaire.
Multiplayer solitaire. Some people actually prefer to not play those. But we don't mind them at all, actually. Especially if we're looking at such a beautiful, wonderfully beautiful game. But anyway, that I just wanted to share in this podcast about how much pleasure I get at a game day, even if I don't get to play games. And I've asked a couple of people who also attend game days, and they don't get to play as many games as they perhaps thought they would or they would like to. And that doesn't deter from their pleasure of the experience of just being amongst people playing games. It's I find it really...
Yeah, it's just a nice environment to be in.
Yes,
so whether you're playing or not, you're still in that environment and in that space. And
Exactly. So that is it then, folks, for today. I want to say thank you for listening to that Board Game Show podcast. And I'm looking forward to sharing the next story with you, because obviously there's going to be another one coming, because we're going to be playing more board games. And I hope you are too, playing a lot of board games and enjoying it. The more board games you play, the better. Do you agree? Yeah. It's definitely our hobby that we are very passionate about. We don't get tired of it. We have been playing board games since you've been born.
for as long as I can remember.
Because I played board games through my childhood and just carried on. You were playing board games when you were just a little tot. Yeah. So I'm going to say bye for now.
And I'll say thank you ever so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show.